Now that you understand the basics of PHP and JSON, let's look at how these languages pertain specifically to WordPress. We talked about using functions. We use functions a lot in WordPress. Keep in mind that functions are either predefined or custom pieces of PHP code that allow you to perform specific tasks. We primarily use them in themes and plugins, and this allows us to add features and functionality to a WordPress website. In WordPress, there's several types of functions. We have the core WordPress functions. These are built-in functions that are provided by WordPress. We also have theme-related functions. These are custom functions that reside inside of the functions.php file of a theme. Plugin functions are custom functions inside of plugins that allow us to extend WordPress features. And finally, hooked functions are functions that are triggered by actions or filters. We will often modify the functions.php file using our child theme. You can think of the functions.php file as the brain of your WordPress theme. It allows you to add or modify functionality, and it kind of works like a plugin, but it only affects your theme. As I mentioned before, there are several types of functions in WordPress. We'll talk about the core functions first. You can use these built-in functions within your theme or your plugin. In this example, we're using the getHeader function. This function is used in classic themes and it loads the header template of your theme. Sometimes we need to create custom functions. You can define custom functions within your functions.php file. In this example, I have a custom function that will allow you to display the current year. As you can see, I'm using a function that's called display current year, and this will echo out the year. This could be used in a theme file inside of the footer so that you could display the current year down at the bottom of your website. The key differences between core and custom functions are core functions are those that are predefined by WordPress. Examples of core functions are getPermalink or WP and Q script. The purpose of these functions is usually to fetch data, load scripts, or process queries. You should not modify core functions. Custom functions, on the other hand, are created by developers. Examples of these might be add read more to title. These types of functions are used to customize or extend WordPress behavior. These can be modified or hooked into WordPress. Depending on the type of function that you're creating, you will add them in several different places. If you're working with theme-related functions, you'll add them to the functions.php file. If you're creating reusable functions, these are often placed in a custom plugin. And sometimes we use shortcodes. The add shortcode function is for creating dynamic content. In full site editing themes, functions are added to the functions.php file of the child theme. This works the same way as classic themes. However, when you're using a full site editing theme, these will rely more on block-based templates, theme.json, and custom block patterns. So functions should be used carefully to extend functionality rather than being used to control layout. You'll add your functions into the child theme's function.php file. You can use the functions.php file to register block styles, add filters, and modify block rendering. If your modification isn't specific to the theme, then consider creating a small custom plugin so that you can easily reuse this in other projects. Here's an example of a functions.php file that we added to one of our themes earlier in our class. Let's just break down what's happening here so we can talk about the functions. In this first function right here, This is a core function. So when we see add action, this is a WordPress core function that allows you to hook a custom function into an action hook. We're also using WP and Q scripts, which is a WordPress core action hook that runs when scripts and styles should be enqueued. It is used to properly load style sheets and scripts into themes and plugins. The myThemeEnqueueStyles is a custom function. We are basically hooking into the WP and Q scripts. The number 11 is the priority value, which determines when this function runs in relations to others hooked into the WP and Q scripts. The default value is 10, so 11 means it will run slightly later. The myThemeEnqueueStyles is a custom function. It was created by us, the developer. This function name is not built into WordPress. I have chosen this name to use as part of my child theme. Inside this particular function, we have the WP and Q style, child style, and get style sheet URI. The WP and Q style is a WordPress core function that's used to enqueue or load a style sheet into WordPress. Child style is the handle, which is a unique name for the style sheet. As the developer, we can name it anything, which therefore makes this part of the custom function. The get style sheet URI is a WordPress core function that returns the URL of the current theme's style.css file. So as you can see, in this brief line of code, we have a mixture of both core and custom functions. Keep in mind that things like add action, WP and Q scripts, and WP and Q style are all part of the core functionality of WordPress. These are built-in WordPress functions. Add action is a function that hooks a function to an action. The WP and Q scripts is a WordPress hook that is triggered when scripts and styles should be enqueued. And the WP and Q style is a built-in function to enqueue style sheets. We also have get style sheet URI, which is another core function. This function retrieves the child theme's style sheet URL. myThemeEnqueueStyles is the name of the custom function that's being hooked. This optional 11, which is the priority setting, is also a custom setting. In addition, when we create the function here, this is an example of a user-defined function. Child style is the developer-defined handle for the style sheet. Let's just take a look at the next function that we have in our child function file so that we can break this down and talk about it. The myChildThemeEnqueue font awesome is a custom function. It is not built into WordPress, and I, as the developer, chose this particular name. We're also using WP and Q style, which, as you know, is a WordPress core function used to enqueue or load a style sheet. Font awesome is our custom handle, and it's a unique identifier for the style sheet. This is chosen by the developer, which therefore makes it custom. The URL is also a custom URL. It is a link to the Font Awesome style sheet that's hosted on a CDN. The array with empty parenthesis means there's no dependencies. This is a standard argument as part of WP and Q style. And 6.5.2 is the custom version number, allowing WordPress to manage cache updates. Down here, we're using add action, which is a WordPress core function that hooks a function into an action hook. The WP and Q scripts is a WordPress core action hook that runs when styles and scripts should be enqueued. And the myChildThemeEnqueue font awesome is our custom function that we defined earlier. Once again, this particular function and add action call to run the function is a mixture of custom and core elements. The My Child theme and Q font awesome is our user-defined function. WP and Q style is the built-in WordPress function to enqueue a style sheet. Font awesome is a custom handle for the style sheet. The URL is also an external URL that is a custom element that we've added to our function. Array is a standard argument for dependencies. It's empty here, meaning there are no dependencies. 6.5.2 is a custom version for the cache control. And add action is a core WordPress function that hooks a function to an action. WP enqueue scripts is a WordPress action hook for enqueuing styles and scripts. And then once again, My Child theme enqueue font awesome is the name of our custom function that's being hooked. As you can see, we are using a mixture of core and custom functions, which is very typical in WordPress. We will rely heavily on the custom functions, but because we want to make them unique, we will definitely be modifying them with our own custom code. I hope that this clarifies how you might be using custom and core functions in WordPress and that you're starting to understand how this works a little bit better.